So today, if I can get this screen, 1 second, we'll learn about the Mizbeach. Let me just get it. Okay, let me try and share this. So we're going to learn about the Mizbeach. The Mizbeach is one of the most basic parts.
I'm watching this. You go and talk somewhere else.
The Mizbeach is one of the most basic parts when we talk about the Beis HaMikdash. As we learned earlier, especially according to the Rambam, the main purpose of the Beis HaMikdash is so that we can bring karbanis, and we can offer karbanis over there. The place where they brought karbanis was the Mizbeach. And there's a very interesting thing regarding this. The Beis HaMikdash is called the Beis HaMikdash even if there's no Kodesh HaKadoshim. For one thing, we know that the Holy of the Holies, the Holy of Holies, the Aron, in the second Beis HaMikdash, they didn't have an Aron, they didn't have the Holy Ark. But even beyond that, if you were to come to the Beis HaMikdash and build the Beis HaMikdash, and you would have only a Mizbeach, that's good. If you had the rest of the Beis HaMikdash, including the Holy of Holies and the Holy Ark, but you were lacking the Mizbeach, it's not considered to be a Beis HaMikdash. The most important part of the Beis HaMikdash is the Mizbeach. And we'll try and understand also a little bit of why we're going to learn today and tomorrow. Please God, we'll continue to learn more about the dimensions of the Mizbeach. In the entire Rambam, in the laws of the Beis HaMikdash, there's only one aspect of the Beis HaMikdash that the Rambam dedicates an entire chapter, and that's the Mizbeach. Now let's start with the concept that the Rambam starts with, and that is HaMizbeach Mikoymai Mechuvan B'Yoser. The Mizbeach, the place of the Mizbeach is extremely precise, extremely exact. To the extent that we say that you're not allowed to change it ever from its place, it's forbidden to ever change the Mizbeach from the place. Okay, this got a little messed up over here, but the Rambam continues to say that there's a common tradition, and a very interesting word that Rambam uses. Not just there's a tradition amongst Jews, there's a tradition that Moshe Rabbeinu had, that King Shlomo had, because when David HaMelech came, in fact, and built the Mizbeach, it was even before there was a Beis HaMikdash, that was the first thing that he built. There was a great plague at that time. There was a plague that was plaguing, there was a general, there was a death plague that was plaguing the Jewish people. There's an epidemic. And David HaMelech didn't know what to do. He knew that he had to do something in order to save the Jewish people. And he came in Yerushalayim to a certain place. There was a field of a person who used to be the king of the Yevusi, that they lived in Yerushalayim, and his name was Aravna. And David HaMelech saw over there, he saw how the angel of death was hovering directly above that place with a sword, meaning this is the place where we can get rid of the angel of death from it. So he immediately went and he acquired, he paid him full money for it, and he bought the entire field, which is later became the area of the Beis HaMikdash. He built a Mizbeach on that precise place that he had seen, and this is how he stopped the death plague from plaguing the Jewish people. This was a precise place. It was a precise place from way back. And when David HaMelech came, when Shlomo came and he wanted to know where is the place to build the Mizbeach, he was able to see a vision of Malach Michal, the archangel Michal, who is the protector of the Jewish people, bringing karbanis in heaven right above this place of the Mizbeach. What's the precise, it's extremely precise, the idea of the Mizbeach, to the extent that Rambam says that there's a common tradition. Common tradition means this tradition is even amongst the non-Jews. That the place that David, King David and Shlomo, they built the Mizbeach in the threshing fields of Aravna the Yevusi, that is the very same exact place that Avraham Avinu built the Mizbeach, upon which he brought Yitzchak for the Akedah. That is the same place that Noach, when he went after the great flood, when he left the ark, he built then, when he left the Teva, he built then a Mizbeach on that exact same place. It's on that same place that Cain and Hevel brought their sacrifices, their offerings to Hashem. And it's that exact same place that Adam Rishon, as soon as he was created, he brought a carbon there. And this is in fact the place where Adam Rishon was created, from that place of the Mizbeach, because Hashem wanted to create man from the place which will eventually be the place that will be his atonement. So there's something special about this place of the Mizbeach, but in fact the specialty of it is not that it's special because there's something special about it. It's special because it was the place that Hashem chose. And beforehand, all of our ancestors who were prophets, including Adam Rishon, and including Noach, etc., they all saw the future, and they knew that in the future this place will be the place that Hashem will choose, and that's why they brought their karbanos to this place. Hashem, when he created man from this place, it's not because this place was special then. It's because he knew that in the future this will be the place that he will choose in order to be this special place. But because it's the choice of Hashem, therefore it's exact. It's precise. The Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Holy of Holies, does not have to be on a precise place. Why? Because it's spiritual. Spirituality could be anywhere. Spirituality, yes, it has to be on Mount Moriah. You can't make a Kodesh HaKadoshim anywhere else. In fact, we will learn later that there is one opinion that the Holy Ark, went with the Jewish people into Galus, meaning they had the presence of Hashem with them in Galus. But nevertheless, when you build a Beis HaMikdash, it has to be built on Har HaMoriah. But there's no precise place. Har HaMoriah is a very big place. There's 500 cubits by 500 cubits. It could be anywhere there. The Mizbeach is the only part that its space is precise. It has to be exactly here. Now, based on that, when you build the rest of the Beis HaMikdash, you build it around the Mizbeach, so it ends up being that everything else is also precise. But the place that has to be precise is the Mizbeach, and we'll see in a moment why. Let's see a second thing about the Mizbeach. Midos HaMizbeach mechuvanos harbi. The measurements and the dimensions of the Mizbeach are also exact. V'tzurasa yidua ish meish. The form and the dimensions of the Mizbeach was passed on from father to son, from teacher to student. It was passed on throughout the generations. And the Mizbeach Shebanu b'nei Hagayla, when they came and they built the Mizbeach of the second Beis HaMikdash, it was different than the one of the first Beis HaMikdash. We'll learn later that the third Beis HaMikdash will also have differences, but it was Ki'ein Mizbeach She'aseh Libanes Asur. They made it similar to the Mizbeach that will be in the third Beis HaMikdash. Ve'in lahaisif al midaseh v'lo nigra mimena. One should not add or take away from the dimensions of the Mizbeach. That's the general concept. Now, the truth is, it's interesting because we're going to learn later that it's not a necessity. There are certain things that are a necessity in the Mizbeach. The dimensions are not a necessity. And nevertheless, we do what we can that it should be precise. And we're going to see in a moment how this all works. But firstly, a very interesting thing that the Rambam tells, and the Rambam is not just a history book, the Rambam is telling us this because it's a halacha. And that's the following. When the Jews came from Babylon, when they came from exile, and they returned to build the second Beis Hamikdash, they had 3 prophets with them. These 3 prophets were Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. These 3 prophets had 3 specific functions which were necessary. They didn't have to tell them where or how to build the Holy of Holies. That wasn't necessary. That they did it according to the general plan that they knew that they had then. They had to tell them 3 things, and those 3 things all pertain to the Mizbeach. One of them testified the exact place of the Mizbeach. Now, despite the fact that they remembered, because many of them were old enough to remember, it was only 70 years earlier that the first Beis Hamikdash was around. And nevertheless, because it's so precise, they needed a prophet to tell them the exact place. One told them the measurements and dimensions of the Mizbeach. Now that for sure is something which could have been simple, but as we'll learn, they changed it in the second Beis Hamikdash based on the first. The other told them, in order to bring the offerings on the Mizbeach, there doesn't have to be a Beis Hamikdash. As soon as they came from Bavel, they built a Mizbeach, and then they brought all the karbanos on. And before we go on to the dimensions of the Mizbeach, let's understand something amazing about the Mizbeach. The Mizbeach is something which is exactly like the Jewish people. The Mizbeach is full of opposites, opposite extremes. The Mizbeach is a study in contrasts, just like the Jewish people themselves are. What's the Mizbeach? On one hand, the Mizbeach is the only aspect that is precise. It has to be precise. It has to be precise in a space and dimension in this world. And on the other hand, the Mizbeach is the only part that changed constantly. We'll learn now the Mizbeach of the Mishkan and the Mizbeach of the first Beis Hamikdash were very different. The second Beis Hamikdash was different again. The third Beis Hamikdash will be different again. The menorah was the same menorah that they had in the Mishkan. They used it in the Beis Hamikdash, the first and the second, and they'll use it in the third. The inner Mizbeach, the golden Mizbeach, the Mizbeach of the Ketores was the same one. The Shulchan was the same, and of course the Aron was the same. The Mizbeach, on the other hand, was something that was rebuilt in each place that they came. They rebuilt the Mizbeach. Some opinions say even that they rebuilt it even in the Mishkan every time they camped. But even if not, the concept is that the Mizbeach is a changing reality in a changing world, which remains always the same within physical time and space. Contrasts inside it, because the Mizbeach, the idea of the Mizbeach is not like the Holy of Holies. The Holy of Holies is a spiritual place. That's where Hashem can rest His presence. And in a certain sense, even though we don't have an Aron now, and even though we're not in Eretz Yisrael, when we build a shul and we daven in the shul, or we learn Torah, we're bringing the presence of Hashem that rested in the Holy of Holies. We're bringing it into our home and into our shul and into our place, wherever it may be, even in our home. Even if now we can't go to shul, we're bringing it into our homes. But karbanis you can bring only in one place in the world. And that place has to be precise, because bringing these offerings means to bring godliness into the physical world. And in order to bring godliness into the physical world, there has to be the choice of Hashem. Hashem has to choose to be in this specific place. And when it's this specific place, it's this specific place and no other. And that's why the dimensions are exact, although they're changing, because they're inside the physical world. The Mizbeach, out of all the parts and all the aspects of the Beis Hamikdash, the Mizbeach was there mostly for the sinner. Who brought karbanis mostly was someone who sinned. The Mizbeach is the place where the lowest of low can connect to the highest of high. And we'll learn more about it, please God, tomorrow also, as we learn more about the Mizbeach. But that is why the Mizbeach is one of the most amazing aspects of the Beis Hamikdash. The Mizbeach is outside. It's not in the Heichal. It's not in the sanctuary. It's outside. And yet the Torah calls the Mizbeach Kodesh Kadashim, Holy of Holies. we can understand that the Holy of Holies, which we're going to learn about when we get there, which is all the way in the back on the inside, it's hidden by a curtain. We understand that that's Holy of Holies. The Mizbeach, why is the Mizbeach Holy of Holies? The Mizbeach is the most outer aspect of the Beis Hamikdash. It has to be outside. And here we find a very other interesting thing that the Rebbe points out, that when they lit the fire for the Ketores, the incense, which shows on a person's soul, the inner essence that's inside, that's made out of gold. That's the Mizbeach that's made out of gold. When they lit the fire, they didn't light the fire on that Mizbeach itself. They had to bring the fire from the outer Mizbeach. Because sometimes in order to light the fire of our neshama, in order to light the fire of the highest and holiest and most spiritual aspect of ours, it has to come from the way we bring God into the physical world, into even the aspect of sin, into even the negativity. From that, we can take the fire to illuminate and to bring the warmth to every aspect of ours, including of the neshama itself. So let's look first at the Mizbeach in Mishkan, because that is where it all started. And then we'll see how it grew different later on. This isn't gold. This is not the golden Mizbeach. And although you don't see the ramp in front of this, the ramp wasn't a part of the Mizbeach, it was in front of the Mizbeach, but this is the Mizbeach itself. This is the copper Mizbeach, which is outside. The copper Mizbeach is made with wood, and it's overlaid with copper. The wood was hollow and overlaid with copper. Now, the Mizbeach of the Mishkan, if we can, let me see if I can get I can't get okay, there we go, the pointer. The Mizbeach of the Mishkan has in it, as we learned, there's four main parts. This part that we see over here is the bottom part. This is called the Yesod. The Yesod, the foundation, this is the part that protrudes on the bottom. This part is the middle as part of the Mizbeach, which on top of it is the Soivev. Another area, which the same way also protrudes in the same way. And on top of it is the highest area of the Mizbeach, which is called the Makom HaManacha. This is where they put this is where they lit the fires on the Mizbeach. On top of that is the Kronos. These are literally the horns, but what that means, these are the areas that protruded on each corner of the Mizbeach. Now let's look at the dimensions of the copper Mizbeach. The bottom part, the side, let's first of all look at the entire height. The entire height of the Mizbeach, from the floor until the tip of the keren, is 10 amas. 10 amas. This is the entire height of the Mizbeach. And the bottom protrudes with the side, which is an amma width and an amma height. This is the widest part of the Mizbeach. On top of it, this area that I mentioned, the length and the width in the Mizbeach of the Mishkan is 5 amas by 5 amas. Okay, so this side protrudes an extra amma, but this is 5 amas by 5 amas. Here it's 6 by 6. This is a copper netting, which according to Rashi actually extended from on top of the side all the way up till the middle of the Mizbeach. On it, there were the 4 rings where they placed the poles with which they carried the Mizbeach. Only in the Mizbeach of the Mishkan, we're going to learn later about the Mizbeach of the Beis Hamikdash tomorrow, how that was different. This is the Karkoiv, which is a soiviv, but it's made for decorational purposes only. It protrudes 1 amma, and it's 1 amma wide. This area from on top of the soiviv till the top, that's 3 amas. And here is the kronos, an amma by an amma on all 4 sides. Here is 1 amma where the kohanim would walk. So if we count that, 5, take 2 away, that's 3. Take another 2 away, that's 1 amma square where they actually lit the fires. Tomorrow, please God, we're going to learn about the Mizbeach of the first and second and third Beis Hamikdash. They were all built of stone rather than of wood, and they were made with various different dimensions than this Mizbeach that was in the Midbar.
Shkaya. Thank you. Shkoyach.
Thanks,
Okay.
Rabbi.
Thanks, Rabbi.
Thank you. Thanks.
Can I ask you,
Thank
Rabbi, how
you.
much is an amma? How do we relate to the size of an amma?
Okay, so an amma is, in English they call it a cubit. An amma is basically, it's about a foot and a half. It would be about half a meter. But an
Okay.
amma in the Beis Hamikdash was 1 handbreadth bigger than that. So it's a little bit more than that. It's, I would say, a little bit more than half a meter. Let's say 18 or 20 centimeters or something like that. That would be.
Thank you.